Hello everyone, my name is Harsh and a very warm welcome to all of you in this block state management course. And in this video we are going to compare qubit and blocks. Okay, so starting with qubits, in the past lectures we learnt about qubit as well as block and how we can create it. So I have just moved to the official documentation, and the first thing that you can compare between a qubit and block is the way they are triggered. So qubits are triggered from the UI on the basis of function, and then it is sent to a qubit, and then we send a request and we get response and we update the state. This second part we haven't covered yet much, but you can ignore it. We are mainly working on this in our counter app. So we are tapping something on UI, we were calling some functions, and the qubit were used to update the state and provide us the updated state. In case of block, this thing is replaced by events. So we need to create events, and we used to add events in our UI and then send it to the block, and then block used to provide us an updated state. So if you see the code comparison, this is how we simply created a counter qubit, and after that using a qubit was easier. Okay, we just created an increment function like a function approach, and while using the qubit we can simply use it like qubit.increment and we can print the qubit. In our case we use it with Flutter, so it was little different. Going to the block, we created those sealed classes and final classes. These are we called events, and then we passed those events, and then we used event handlers here, and then we called functions here. So this is the basic fundamental difference. Okay, except that we move to this qubit versus block, and you will see the one of the most important advantage of a qubit is its simplicity. Okay, so it is simple to understand. It uses less boilerplate code as compared to block. Now some people think like qubit is inferior to block. If you ask on my personal experience, there are no such thing. They both are completely interoperable, and if you even read this block official documentation, they will suggest if you are a beginner, you should learn qubit first, and then you can migrate to block and learn the advanced concepts of block. So this is one advantage of qubit, simplicity. Moving to the block advantage, it is traceability. So we covered on transition method in the last video, in which we get to know the event which has triggered the change. In case of qubit, we only get the current state and the next state, but in case of block we also get the event because we have created those events. And the next advantage of block is event transformers. So there is something called as debounce time, throttle, etc. Now where are they used? So to give you just an example, let's say you have added a button in your app which refreshes the UI. Now what happens? User clicks on this button multiple times. In that case, it should not happen that multiple requests are sent from our end to the server. This will increase the load of the server. So we can add a debounce or throttle time which will limit the number of requests we can do in a particular time. Okay, like wait for the first response to come for a second or 2 seconds, and then we can do the next request. So in block there are inbuilt solutions to it. Okay, so which we will cover in the upcoming videos though. So event transformers are one of my favorite section about the block. Okay, so now to keep it simple, there are mainly these fundamental differences between qubit and block. There is one common misconception between people. They assume like qubits are inferior to block, which means you can only use qubit for simple projects. There are no such things. I have used qubit for an e-commerce app as well, or even more such as projects. Okay, so there are no such things. You can use qubits because they are simple and they uses functions approach. Moving to the block, they uses events approach, they provide traceability, and they have something called as event transformers. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, simply go and search block concurrency on Google and you will get a package about it. So you can just check it out, and that's it. Okay, so thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.